This weekend will mark 1 year since the deadly 4th of July flooding that hit the Texas Hill Country. Our media partners at Texas Monthly, they have shared stories of survival and of personal journeys toward healing in a new podcast called Where the River Took Us. Aaron Parsley worked on this project for months. He and his family were in their home along the Guadalupe River when the rushing floodwaters swept them away last year. His young nephew died, unfortunately. Parsley first shared his story with Texas Monthly in his Pulitzer Prize winning article, and now he's exploring what comes next for himself, for his family, and for the community in this 7-episode podcast. So joining us for tonight's discussion to talk a little bit more about this is Aaron. Aaron, thank you so much for joining us. You know, surviving the flood itself, that's a traumatic event. We know that. But the aftermath also comes with its own challenges, as many can imagine. What helped guide you or motivate you to work on this project while you had to grapple with your own experience?
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me. I think grappling with my own experience was part of the motivation for wanting to do this project. You know, as you mentioned, I wrote about the experience on the 4th of July that my family had out there along the Guadalupe, just days after the flood. In the weeks and months to come after that, you know, the flood was still on my mind. It was still very present in my life and in the life of my family and many other families in Texas. So for me, it just felt like the story was ongoing, and I was trying to sort through the emotions, the big feelings, addressing the trauma and how to be present for my sister and my family. So all of that just became part of this project, and you know, thankfully, I was at Texas Monthly, where there's a great team, a careful team who helped me explore some of these thoughts and some of these ideas and how to handle that kind of storytelling.
You know, Aaron, in the first episode of the podcast, you and your family, they share what you all were seeing, hearing, feeling. I can't even imagine that. But all of that experience as the flood waters, they rose around the family's home. At one point, we learned that the building gets swept away and then it splits apart. You kind of described that. What can you tell us about the moment that you realized that you found yourself really caught up in all of the water? And I know it's traumatizing, so forgive me for asking, but take us back to that moment. What was that like?
Yeah, I think that's still a startling moment. You know, I think if I lost consciousness or blacked out at all that day, it was in the moments between when the house came off its foundation and I found myself suspended in water. That is a gap in my memory that I've struggled to fill. So when I realized I was in water, it was mostly a physical sensation, just feeling myself immersed in liquid. I remember thinking that my shoes had come off. And then in very quick sequence of events, you know, I heard my husband calling for me. I tried to get to him. And then, you know, we were separated and I was swept downriver. And I think at that point, it almost became like a robotic thing. I was grabbing for branches and trying to breathe, and those things sort of happen without thinking about it. But yeah, it was a lot of chaos and fear, of course, but also sort of this a bit of calm, like understanding that, you know, the worst had happened and now I've got to figure something out.
Can't even imagine that. In Where the River Took Us, as it's called, there is an episode that features a Dallas attorney who's leaning on his faith after losing his parents and his 2 daughters in this tragedy. Now, you seem to find similarities and differences when it comes to religion and community playing a role in the aftermath of all of the flooding. Can you talk a little bit more about that and sort of kind of how that connection really helps, I guess, with some of the coping mechanisms?
Yeah, of course. R.J. Harbor was introduced to me by another friend of mine, and we just started a conversation about what his experience was like, what my experience was like, just kind of relating to each other as survivors of this flood starting late last year. And something I noticed was that R.J. was his source of strength was his religion and his faith. It was very impressive to me And we just started talking about that, and I wanted to speak to him at length about that. I talked to him about my spiritual practices. I'm not a religious person, but I do put my faith in a higher power.
Sure.
I do recognize that I am not running the universe, and that I've got to deal with what comes my way. And that's something that I've learned to do in sobriety. So it's a totally different thing, but ultimately in our conversation, I think I found that the result is kind of the same. Like, I want to live my life in a way that's, as a good person would, being of service, telling my story, helping others tell their stories. And RJ is, because of his faith, is also leading a life of service and of devotion. And so, I just saw how ultimately we get there through different paths, but we, in the wake of the flood, are actually thinking about life and living life in a similar way.
Yeah, the last episode of the podcast, it's out now. So what are you hoping, Aaron, that listeners are going to take away from all of this ultimately?
Yeah, the last episode of the podcast, which came out today, features a conversation with my sister, Alyssa. I hope people hear how vulnerable she can be and how courageous it is for her to open up and talk about the most difficult moment of her life. I hope that people take from the podcast and understand the strength of my family, the strength of my loved ones, and the strength of our love for each other. But I think ultimately the goal of the project is to help people understand what happened, what life has been like in the aftermath. And I hope what they do with that understanding is show compassion, show grace, and have patience for the people who lost the most in this event.
And as we near the one-year mark, it's coming up this weekend since all of this happened. What has stood out to you, you think, as you visited with people who are now trying to rebuild their lives throughout the entire Texas Hill Country? What do you think really sticks out?
I think the experience of rebuilding is different for everyone, and that's what I kind of take away from this. And for people who are rebuilding homes and a way of life out there, it's one thing. There are people who are rebuilding their sense of faith, or who may be rebuilding their sense of safety,
sure,
or maybe rebuilding a family life after losing a loved one or a child. So rebuilding just means something very different depending on what your experience was like out there. Even within my own family, we were all in the same house, but where we were in the house and who we were, who at that moment, has influenced how the aftermath of this flood has been. So rebuilding is extremely personal, and again, I just hope that folks who know people who are working on these things, understand that a little bit more because of this project.
Well, we want to give you our deepest thanks to Texas Monthly Senior Editor Aaron Parsley. Aaron, thank you so much for this conversation. We really appreciate it. And thank you for everything that you're doing in the light of all of this tragedy here. Of course, you can listen to all 7 episodes of his podcast called Where the River Took Us. It's available for you right now on TexasMonthly.com. Aaron, thank you very much once again.